my God, the government is here. Run!
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
All right, everybody.
Hi.
We're live here on YouTube. I finally get to like relax, enjoy my room. You know, don't have to have a sea of wires anymore. Feels great. But hey, here we are, man. And Nicole,
Hi.
welcome back to the show.
Here I am.
How's it going? How's being in New York?
Being in New York, whatever the name of this place is very nice. Thank you, James. It's good to be here. Yeah, it was nice.
How long?
What's that?
How long you been back for?
I've been back for a few months now. And now I'm back in gear with totally Toonular. So yeah, so it's good to be here with you all.
Do you feel integrated back in New York, or do you still feel like some like fish out of water? You know, do you feel like now you're this Californian coming to New York rather than
like
be like I'm a New Yorker?
I mean, like certain things about California were really nice, like peace and quiet. That's like not something I'm familiar with anymore.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's been pretty nice. Yeah. So for those who are in the audience and have listened to the show that don't know, I'm from like the New York metropolitan area. I'm from Long Island. So it was nice to like come back to something like pretty familiar. So as chaotic as it could be.
Fuck off yet?
Say that again?
Did anyone tell you to fuck off or see any like weird people on the subway?
Oh yeah, and I tell people to fuck off too. You know what I mean? We're all just like vibing. That's just like the neighborly thing. You know what I mean? No, there was this like one woman that like I was like trying to cross the street because like the light was like on, right? Like the crosswalk like person was on, and she just like kept inching up in her car, and I was like, you almost fucking hit me, and I was like, oh, like, so nice. Like what?
You gotta do like the Joe Pesci, right? And that like was it? I forgot what movie that is, right? Where he's like yelling at the fucking car about to run him over.
Are you talking Dustin Hoffman in Midnight Cowboy?
No, but he's like, I'm fucking here. He like improvised in front of the car. Yeah. I should have actually done that. If I were like clever and creative enough, I would have. But next time I'll do that.
That was your New York moment right there.
I missed it. I was like honestly just going to the gym too and like walked through the door right after. I was like, hi! Like as if like nothing fucking happened too. That's like the New York like beauty though, right? It's just like one moment.
You get immediately angry and then you just like forget about it like a second later.
Yeah.
The New York beauty, the true beauty of New York is the urine smell that sort of permeates the entirety of the city,
it is
right?
Just lovely and shit.
That's the beauty of the city.
Yes, the amount of poop I just smell every day of my life walking down the street. I'm like, yeah, did not fucking miss that, but here it is. You know what I mean? Don't really have a choice on that. I did see, so not that I want to talk politics because I never fucking do, but I was on the subway and the person I was sitting next to and the person that was sitting in front of me were having a little bit of like a riff about Israel and Palestine. So that was also juicy. Like being in New York, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, ooh, New York. Like I like actually.
You listening to them like debate?
Yes.
On
like,
the subway.
It was like hostile, but like they were also both like just being like snippy and rude, like, you know, as New Yorkers will do, right? And I like actually like paused my music because I was like, oh, I'd rather listen to this. This is really good. So
and I bet just best friends, they're gonna keep yelling at each other, you know, as they go to the bar and then probably go back to their apartment and keep yelling at each other, and then they fuck.
Yeah, that's how it goes here. So definitely a good homecoming for sure. So yeah.
Well, it's great to have you back. Great to have you back on the show too.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Good to be back. Great to be back.
Liz back
Hey.
hanging out with us again.
I'm here. I'm stoked to be here. I love you guys.
How's hanging out in Tennessee?
No public conflicts, but
Nice.
like New York,
That is
I can
nice.
appreciate that.
That's a luxury for sure.
It's getting better. It's getting better here by the day, I think, with a little bit of a change in attitudes and kind of the new folks kind of ushering in that attitude. So hopefully we're not going to be as podunk as we we tend to be here. That's me being political for the day. But yeah, it's going great here in Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. We're rocking it. We're making the best of it, aren't we, Ben?
Something's happening. We'll put it that way. Something's happening. Where
Usually it's just for Tennessee. Now I got 2 people from Tennessee. It's like I get a whole story now.
Listen, it's really it's the only 2 people from Tennessee that anybody needs to worry about.
Amen.
Big day.
It's like, and the thing is, I dig what you're saying, Liz, and it maybe more so in and around kind of like the Nashville area, and as Nashville sort of grows out a little bit, you see more and more of that hitting sort of smaller communities, and not with like too much inside baseball. But I have a friend who does some like city planning type stuff, and he was telling me they're looking to push 31E to 4 lanes between Gallatin and Westmoreland, and pretty much basically up to the state line eventually. And if that happens in the next like 10 or 12 years, the boom that's happening now, like as Hendersonville grows out, because Nashville's grown out, Gallatin, Westmoreland will kind of
Everything's
start
gonna
to
keep
pop
pushing.
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to start to pop again, which would be good, I guess. But they're building like 100 new homes in Westmoreland.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's nutty. It's absolutely.
I'm glad
nutty.
we were there before all that happened.
Bro, yeah, it's a clusterfuck.
Well, just think about Hendersonville when we were kids. It was fucking farmland.
It was.
And here we are. We've got Raising Cane's about to pop up. We've got a Costco coming in. It's uppity. Like Hendersonville is very uppity and snooty now. Like what happened?
Money hit, and the thing is it's like we had the same thing happen when I lived up in Oregon. It's everybody bitches about the Californians, and I've talked about it here, but there's a weird sort of what do you call it, like a population sort of like Ring Around the Rosie that happens, right? Brooklyn, Portland, Oregon, and Nashville, like those 3 cities seem to swap, right? People left and right.
With the city to move to.
And population. So like when I lived in Oregon, I met more people from Brooklyn and from Nashville that had moved to Portland. Anytime I'm in the city, I seem to find a Portlander somewhere in there. On
Snapchat, it was like met all these Portland people who were like, "Yeah, I just moved to Brooklyn."
Exactly. And then the same thing in Nashville. You get folks that have moved down from Brooklyn and that have moved from Portland, and it's just this big sort of switch around.
I think we're like 50% Californians now too.
And California is moving this way. I met a guy a couple of weeks ago. I was dealing with some shit at the laundry tub, and I met a guy who'd moved out to Westmoreland from California who wanted to talk to me about not just like local politics, but about growth. And I'm like, bitch, you just moved here. Like, for you to talk about growth, why are you bitching? How long you been here, buddy? Oh, about the last maybe year. I'm like, you're too new. You don't get to talk about growth.
You don't have
just
that
shut
right
up.
yet.
Yeah, no, you ain't earned it. You ain't earned it.
But the good thing about all those
Portland.
folks is that they're helping usher in that new attitude and the new mindset of to each his own. Let everybody do what they want to do. You know, if it's not harming anybody, let them do it.
Go for it. And the thing is like I'm finding increasingly it's like what do you call it? Like as far as sort of social norms, there are a couple of like hillbilly TikToks, like progressive hillbilly TikToks that I follow, that I think are amazing. And it's these big beardy, rosy red cheek dudes, mouthful of chaw, and they sit there and they start on a rant, and you're like, oh, this is gonna end very fucking poorly. Like this is gonna end very, very bad. But then it's like, well, you don't like people telling you what to do? Well, I don't like people telling me what to do. If I want to go out and I want to do this, X, Y, and Z, well, by goddamn, that's my American right. And if all of a sudden Joey wants to be Janie, who the fuck are you to tell Joey not to be Janie? I don't give a goddamn what Janie wants to do.
Nice. That's awesome.
And like, it is the funniest shit I have ever heard in my life, but it's so valid. And I think... whatever. If we're gonna get political, that the notion there is simply this, right? There's an idea so far to the right of like government out of my life that it matches up with the government out of my life coming from everything else.
Yeah.
And you can find like that happy sort of medium there, and you're seeing more and more of it. I think I really,
Big time.
yeah. It's kind of great.
Good. Yeah, I mean that sounds amazing.
It's funny as fuck. I'll send you some links later.
Well, yeah. So how's it hanging on your end of Tennessee, Ben Johnson?
Man, I just had to order a new hopper for my coin machine because there's something fucked in the motherboard. So I yelled at some people online today about that.
That explains typing before the show.
It didn't cut my price down, I'll tell you that much. So I had to do that. I had to order a new latch for one of the doors there, and frankly, I'm just ready to get back to the haunt this week. Like it starts a long week. We've got one day off next Monday, and then we have we're on all the way through Halloween.
Hell yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's busy season for us, which is nice. I'll take it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We'll take some busy season.
Yes.
I can take some busy season, you know?
I mean, really, right? Like, what's going on over where you are, James?
I mean, not so much right now. I mean, you know, I do actually have a full cut of Portrait of Payback, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, congrats. It's awesome.
Yeah. Crazy. It's about almost 20 minutes.
Nice.
So, I don't know. We're going to have a little screening soon to get some notes and figure out how to tighten it up a bit.
Oh, send a link, buddy. Send a link.
We'll send a link soon. You know,
Okay.
it's like, I don't know. I'm not as, you know, I'm not as out there at my links like you, Ben. You know, I'm scared to
No. But
things.
like seriously, send a link. I would love to not only watch but give a couple of notes for sure.
Yeah, they're still not there yet. You know, it's just like the first cut. There's no VFX in it, so it's just funny when you watch it with no VFX and it's just people waving guns around. You know?
But that's perfect. You know, I'm very much a hooker for process. Like, I would love to see it. Like, seriously.
And everybody loved to just say bang bang every time they would fire a gun. So it's funny to also see no muzzle flashes and then to hear people go bang bang as they shoot guns.
Do you see their mouths moving when they're firing it too?
Luckily we don't, which was all like part of the process. But it's just funny when you hear them just go like bang bang bang. And then my other friend Corby, who Nicole knows,
Love
my friend
Corby.
Andrew Corby.
Shout out to
There's a
Corby.
scene where he stabs Dwayne with the knife, and then he decides to also make the noise as he's doing it. So he's like, shh, shh.
So he's just going shink, 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 shink the entire time?
Good move, Corby.
Well, it's like one big stab and like a turn. So he's like, chick, chick.
Fucking great. Great.
Did you say you're trying to do a screening,
Yeah.
or did I mishear?
Well, not like a screening. I say screening, but I mean like in my living room with like,
Okay,
you know. When I say screening.
fair enough. Okay, fine, gotcha. Cool.
But yeah, no. Besides that, I don't know. And then I just logged in. You know, I'm gonna work on fucking Troma's new movie, fucking Caterkiller next
Oh,
month.
you
so.
are. Oh, I've been seeing a
cool.
lot about that on Instagram.
Are you doing
Yeah.
sound on it, bro?
Yeah, of course.
Nice.
What else? You know? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's another movie.
Cannot
Going upstate.
you cannot get away from trauma. It's you're like every
Know when I'm
time
desperate.
they try to pull
They
you.
just know
back
when
up.
I'm desperate, and they like, you know, they're like, oh, this guy's he's desperate on his last luck. He's get him now.
I guess it's a smart move on both of your parts. Why not?
they dangle $2 in front of you, and you're like, I'll take it.
Yeah, kind of.
James, where are you working on that? Where are you going to Caterkiller set?
Somewhere upstate.
Okay.
You know,
Cool.
upstate again. Thankfully, it's not Troy. Man, if you're ever upstate New York, don't ever go to Troy.
I have
What a
heard that.
awful city.
Not from people that worked on that movie, but just like in general, I've just heard that Troy is not necessarily it. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing to do with the movie. It just the whole area is like probably the most rundown city I've ever been in. So I guess it was like really popular, you know, in the early 1900s.
Okay.
And now it's just this desolate, half destroyed city, definitely run by a bunch of gangs.
Nice.
See, it's hard
yeah.
for me to imagine that as a Southerner. I've been to New York City before,
Yeah.
but I've not been around the state. And it's hard for me to imagine anything there that's not like bright lights and big buildings and
Yeah.
people.
There's
Like
some-
I can't imagine a rundown city.
There's some
in New
shit
York.
in upstate New York.
Upstate is like, yeah, upstate's like another
It's like- yeah, I
animal.
went to
That's
college.
like literally,
In upstate New York.
yeah, like
Yeah.
4 hours.
So Liz, to put it to you like this, David Cross used to do a bit where, like weirdly, I think in portions of upstate you would feel very much at home. He used to do a bit where he talks about the redneck accent, and he's like, you know, you hear people talk like this, man. I was raised in Atlanta, and in Atlanta, Georgia, this is how we talk. And he goes, but what you don't understand is that, well, fuck you, man. I'm from upstate New York, and this is how we talk too. Why y'all co-opting our accent? Well, fuck you, man. I'm from Bakersfield, California, and this is how we talk too. It permeates the culture. You would
Wow.
find your people, Liz.
There are definitely a lot of.
Find your people.
I feel like, well, there's a lot of farms upstate, so I guess that makes sense of
Yeah.
why that would be. And exclusively in Bakersfield, California as well. So that's true as well.
But yeah, but Troy though, if you wanted to see what an abandoned city looks like, yeah, imagine like New York City if it was shrunk to about like, you know, quarter of the size, and then it's just like these old buildings that have probably been there since like the 1900s, and they're just completely run down. Some of it looks really nice because I guess there's still some rich people who are trying to like, you know, rebuild it and do something, I guess. But then the rest of it's literally shut down, like straight up closed down. Like the restaurant we were filming in was literally a closed down restaurant that was closed down because people kept robbing it too much,
Oh my
and they had
god.
to shut it down.
Why that restaurant, I wonder? What is it about that
I don't
particular
know.
spot? That's like, that's,
They said it was that restaurant and the Dollar Tree that was next to the restaurant, but that's still opened.
That's funny. So you're saying that the town,
Troy sucks.
the town is being kept in fear and being run by groups of people. So in essence, the town is run by a fright crew.
Hey,
Is that what you're saying?
exactly?
The town's
Because that's
run
what we're
by,
talking about.
by a fright
Yeah.
crew.
Run by a Fright crew. I mean, luckily nobody fucked with us when we were filming, but yes, it is run
Good,
by a
yeah,
Fright
good.
crew. That's what we're talking about today. Eli Roth's Fright crew. Man, we got to that pretty fast today. 20 minutes. I think it's-
I found an inn, James. I found an inn. Found an inn.
Yeah, Eli Roth's Fright Crew, his first animated show, and I am an Eli Roth fan. I know there's like a lot of like he's very, how do I put it, like I don't want to say like, I guess, yeah, bipolar director in the sense of like people either love him or like really hate his shit.
Polarizing.
Polarizing.
I like bipolar though better.
Oh, I thought you meant his directing side
Good
of
stuff.
bipolar. Oh, okay. I see. I see now.
Polarizing.
Gotcha.
It still works.
It does.
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah. You know what? The English language is always changing. Why not? Whatever. So he's a bipolar. Has fans feeling
Theodore Roth,
bipolar.
most bipolar director in Hollywood. But yeah, I was an Eli Roth fan, so I saw him post about this, and I wanted to check it out. But I don't know. Are you guys Eli Roth fans? Like, what's your feelings on the man?
I feel like I'm familiar more so with his name than any of his actual work. To be honest with you, like I hear Eli Roth and I'm like, ooh, like this is gonna be good. And I'm like, wait, have I actually seen a single thing of his? The last thing I watched with him in it was actually The Idol on HBO. Are y'all familiar with that?
Oh.
It's bad.
How it got
Yeah,
like
he produced-
terrible reviews and The Weeknd was in it. He actually acted in it, and I
It's
watched
so
it. And
bad.
it was
He acted. I think he produced it too.
he produced that show I just mentioned that I'm blanking on the name on.
Yeah, the Idol. I'm pretty sure he's a producer on it also.
Oh my God.
I hate it for Lily Rose.
Yeah, terrible.
Because she's wonderful, and she like whoever what agent decided to hand her that role to
Yeah.
take. Woo, whoa,
The show's a mess. Highly recommend. So
rough.
if you want an afternoon where you just like crack up at how bad something is, highly recommend The Idol.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I forgot who else who made the show, but I know it's coming off the coattails of another big HBO show.
Euphoria,
And I
maybe.
can't-
Like
Yeah, I
same
think it's
dude.
Euphoria.
So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Eli Roth actually acts in it, and that's why I was like, the last thing I've watched prior to this with anything of Eli Roth is that show.
I mean, he acts, man, and fucking Inglourious Bastards, Bear Jew.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that was his
Awesome.
best role.
Yeah, arguably his best role. I'm just doing a quick little peek.
And the scene where he like shoots like Hitler in the face?
Yeah.
That he would like actually like I don't know if it was actually improvised, but he said like that was his idea. Like I think like Tarantino wanted to do something else, and he goes like I forgot what he calls Tarantino, whatever nickname he says he calls Tarantino.
Hey, Quinny.
But he was just he was like,
Quinny.
if I have Hitler in front of me and I have a machine gun, like I'm gonna fucking shoot Hitler. So like that's just what I'm gonna do. And then that's how that's the scene that you see.
So in just sort of looking through here, as far as like stuff that he's directed, I mean the guy I haven't seen a lot of what he's been putting out recently, but I am curious about Thanksgiving. He actually went and made the movie from the fake trailer that he did in Grindhouse.
Like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like almost 20 years ago. 15 years ago probably.
Yeah.
2000.
It's
I'm
2007.
so stoked that that's getting
Yeah.
that's made
Yeah.
fine, because that was
And
such
it
a
looks
rumor
awesome.
forever.
Yeah.
It's there and it's coming.
Yeah.
So it kind
I
of
was
makes me
I was
a
gonna
little
make that
upset.
ugly and then I didn't.
Like it kind of like it makes me upset because as much as it's awesome as it looks, I made Meat as Murder because he made Thanksgiving.
Oh.
And he said, yeah, I made Thanksgiving because I got to skip to all the good parts of a horror movie without ever having to actually make the movie. And I was like, that's fucking genius.
Yeah.
And here he is, he's making a movie. He goes back on his word. Like, come on.
So you're gonna make a Meat as Murder movie then? Is that what you're saying?
I'll never make it.
Oh, okay, that's fair too. Whatever you want to do.
So
Yeah.
real
actually-
quick though, Eli Roth, he's also done they're the first two Hostels, 1 and 2, Green Inferno. I didn't realize he was part of the Hemlock Grove series. I did not know that.
I think he was actually a producer on that too. That was like a werewolf thing, right?
On
Netflix?
Netflix, yeah. But he also
He
directed.
was like a producer. Yeah.
Yeah. He directed a few episodes as well. But anyway, no, Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever.
I
all
think
of
Cabin
it.
Fever is wonderful. He's just it's
Yeah.
hit and miss for me.
Yeah.
I'm much more of an Eli Roth as an actor fan than I am as a filmmaker. Green Inferno broke my heart. Like when I paid money to go see that in the theater, and it broke my heart big time.
I watched it too when it came out, and I still like I get it, and I get why people don't like Green Inferno a lot. But I don't hate it, and also like why I don't hate it is that I love that he like brought his crew out to like the real Amazon. You know, like they went out to like the literal jungle and filmed that movie. They talked about how they had problems shipping body parts through customs because whatever, getting that out to the jungle. And then every day all the crew and cast had to be transferred by boats. And then they would go to their location, and the location would change every day because it's the jungle. And like literally they'll find a spot and then it would look completely different the next day. The villagers are all real villagers, like of a tribe they found just out there.
Fuck.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Like
I can
about that.
appreciate that. I can appreciate what he does for horror, and I can appreciate him as a fan, especially because he comes off as someone who knows his shit. I mean, he's got that series. He does know his shit. You know, he knows how to. He's an encyclopedia of knowledge of horror, but I think someone like Quentin Tarantino can use that brain encyclopedia for so much good and make it transfer to film so well. And then there's some people that just can't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I feel about Rob Zombie also.
Yeah.
We were just talking about him. Sorry, Liz and I. Anyway, but yeah. I have a question. Eli Roth, has he made a trauma movie? Because he's a big trauma fan, isn't he?
He used to work. He's in Terra Firma. Yeah.
Oh.
And he's in Tales from the Crapper, am I right? I'm pretty sure.
I believe you're correct, yeah. But the big thing with some of that is he's just like an onlooker in Terra Firma, and I want to say it's during Yaniv's point where he gets his wiener. During Yaniv's naked run, I think he's in that section. If I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember it being an awesome video on Troma's YouTube. I have no idea if it's still there because I watched it probably like 10 years ago now. But it was Eli Roth like talking, like it was Lloyd, with his fucking camera in Eli Roth's face, being like, "Hey, so tell me about filmmaking. Tell people how to get on sets." And he just had this awesome speech about like, don't be afraid to be the guy to go get coffee. Like nice. I was that guy and stuff like that. And it was a really good video. So if it still exists, go find Eli Roth. I'm sure Eli Roth Trauma YouTube, you'll find it.
Do you know whose coffee he got and whose doorway? I think I mentioned this last week when we were talking about Fright Crew and what we were going to watch.
Well,
Stern.
No, say it again.
Stern.
Oh, Stern.
Howard Stern. Yeah, he was on. He was a PA on Private Parts. He was a PA on Private Parts. Yeah. He watched Stern's door, got his coffee, and the whole thing, and it helped him. It helped him. Be a PA. Yeah. Do it.
Y'all need to change the name of this podcast to Ben Brings It Back to Howard Stern. Because I don't think there's one thing in this industry, the film industry, even in the animated industry, that Ben can't 6 degree with Stern.
It's usually 2 degrees, Liz. It's usually I can get you 2 degrees to Howard Stern. I
love it.
I was a 20-year listener like daily for the longest amount of time, and eventually I got sort of turned off by a shift from legacy. Now that he's like older, he wants to not whitewash and not get rid of his legacy, but he's distancing himself from when he used to throw bologna at ladies' bottoms covered with mayonnaise, and I'm like, embrace it. You know what I mean? Like, embrace it.
Right.
Don't.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he wants to do that.
Huh?
That he wants, that he wants to kind of distance himself. He wants to be.
There's always his kind of personality to just be like, I don't give a fuck.
He wants to be remembered as an interviewer, and I think the more people have talked about him being an interviewer and the great American interviewer, is the more I think that it's kind of gotten into his head.
I mean, he is a great interviewer.
Yeah.
Like, not that I've watched like a ton of Stern in my life, but I do watch his interviews when they pop up every once in a while. Like he did one with Bob Odenkirk, I think about a year or two ago.
Oh yeah.
And that one's really awesome. And I love when he asks Bob Odenkirk about Steven Seagal on SNL. It's the funniest story. Awesome interview to check out.
Huh. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the musician Post Malone, but they have a pretty good interview together.
No, I have no idea. Who is Post Malone?
Yeah, the name rings a bell. Actually, I'll have to just, like look into it and get back to you on that. I don't entirely remember. But apparently they have a good.
Eli Roth.
Yeah. Do you like Eli Roth, James?
So, what's your guys' opinions on Hostel?
Oh, I
You
haven't
know, I
seen
mean,
it.
Hostel's a pretty,
I'm not a torture porn person, and I think
Yeah.
because of Hostel, that's what that ushered in the torture porn renaissance, and that's not horror to me at all.
thing.
But it's like Ben was saying before we started recording. I can appreciate like he can loves Dawn Wiener, Heather Maserati, and two, I can appreciate
Oh.
the for lack of better words, the kills. I can
Yeah.
appreciate the imagination that goes into that, but there's no point. There's no point, and that bothers me a lot. That's why I just don't do torture porn well. And I love Cabin Fever, and I love the stuff that he's actually produced that he got on the ground for other people, like Clown. I think is a great
Yeah,
film.
Clown's awesome. And, we got Spider-Man because of Clown.
Right.
So, which is great because the same director. But I actually love Hostel. Especially, I love the first two because there is a third one that's really bad. That's
I never
not
watched the third one.
It's really weird movie. But I love especially the first one. And to contrary your point, because I do agree with you in a lot of because I've seen a lot of just torture movies like that, especially like the later Saw movies too. Like they just get kind of dumb and just become kind of just torture porn. But Hostel, the violence in that movie, I think it's like an hour and 40 minute movie, and the violence doesn't start to almost a full hour into that movie.
For the original,
entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like this weird, almost sex comedy for like a bit, where you're just hanging out with these dudes, something's fucked up, and you're just like hanging out with these guys, and then it hits, and I feel like it makes that shit hit even harder. And then the way he like also flips the protagonist, which I really love, because there's like the nerdy guy and then the hot guy, and then they kill the nerdy guy and flips it to like, the hot guy.
Liz, I got a question for you. How do you feel about Fred Vogel and August Underground?
I like Fred Vogel.
All right, good.
I do. Like that's a different type of
Torture porn.
a different. Yeah, that's a whole
August
different
Underground's
thing.
the of torture porn that I've seen.
I made when the crew was here, I made a bunch of them watch when our Fright crew was here. I made a bunch of them watch the August Underground series.
Not once. Not once. Every time I've come down.
Ben, you need to
Every
have
time
those
I go to Ben's
marathons
house.
with Brandon because he loves Fred Vogel and the August Underground films.
We'll sit down because I've got like Redson Towers. What is it? Maskhead. It basically went on like a toe tag journey at one point. It's fucking unreal.
Yeah, every time I come down to hang out with Ben, there's like we sit there and like, what are we gonna watch today? Ben has like a fucking stack of movies. We have all these streaming services, and no matter what movie we talk about, it always comes down to just somehow August Underground being put on the TV or porn. It's like one or the other.
Well,
we watched Sexcula together as a family.
as a family.
Beautiful.
It's the only pornographic film to be shot with funding from the Canadian government. They got a grant from the government.
Yeah.
And it was lost for like 20 or 30 years. And then they found the canisters, if I remember correctly, they found the canisters basically inside the castle where they shot the movie. And then it's like they screened it there once, and then they left the fucking cans of film there for like 30 years, and then they found it. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now we watch it in Ben's living room.
Now we can watch it at my house. It's very nice.
That's a good tale.
Now, too, the last Eli Roth movie I also want to talk about. It's a movie I haven't seen. I'm curious if any of you guys have seen it. It's called Knock Knock with Keanu
It's
Reeves.
rough. Or for me. Now, see, I'm an old curmudgeon, and old man
looks
shakes.
rough.
fist at clouds.
Yeah,
Knock Knock is a
it looks
hard watch, and poor Keanu, he tries so hard,
Yeah.
and it really, if it wasn't for him, that film would not be watchable at all.
What?
yeah. That's why I haven't watched it, because I am an Eli Roth fan. I was like, I can sit through Green Inferno. I don't know if I can. Like, I've watched a bunch of clips from that movie. Like a Keanu Reeves like head that's like stuck underground of him, like he's like yelling some bullshit. And I was like, this looks terrible. Like, this would make me not like Eli Roth anymore if I watched this movie. So I like have not watched it.
It's a harsh watch.
I'm kind of okay. Yeah, it's like not even so bad. It's good. It's just bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
Ben, do you even know what it's about?
No, I have no idea. 2015. I haven't.
It's like Keanu Reeves' like family goes away, I think on vacation or something like that, and then these like two like schoolgirls like come to his door, pouring. It's like raining outside, and they're like, "Hey, can we come inside? It's raining. You know, we're kind of trapped outside." And he lets them in, and then he ends up banging them. But then they end up like filming him, and they're like crazy torturers, and they're just like completely fucking his life up and torture him. It sounds like a fun plot, but
Then it's like a
not so much
twist of
fun.
blackmail, and then it just gets weird. And one of the girls is his girlfriend, so it was like this way of getting her out too. It's
Huh.
a
Okay.
rough watch.
yeah,
Got
it
it.
looks really tough.
Now,
And I love Reeves too, and I just was like, I don't know if I can sit through this. Like,
I'll watch anything that man puts his name on, just because I appreciate him so much for
Yeah.
what he's done for horror in general. With my distaste aside, I appreciate and I admire him for what he.
Eli
but-
Roth.
Yeah,
Right. Okay. Yeah. No. Same. Sorry. Yes. Completely agree. Yeah.
I had to watch just to know for myself, and it's rough.
because he had a series too on AMC that was like a horror, like history thing.
It's
He was like, yeah.
fantastic, but it's
Yeah.
it's nothing that all of us don't already know.
Mm.
You know, it's one of those where it's like, did you know that so and so died on the set of Poltergeist? Yeah,
Uh,
like I did know
Right.
it, but I appreciate you noting it.
he did a podcast with Chris Jericho. I'm going to say I listened to this in 2015. And yeah, and I remember he was just like going off about like a bunch of slasher movies I've never heard of. And at the time, like that's how I started. That's how I watched Pieces, because he like talked for like
Wow.
30 minutes about the movie Pieces, and
Wow.
how he throws it on at every party he ever has, because it's just you can watch it silent and it's crazy. And
Okay.
yeah,
I remember the first time I watched Pieces too. Like that is an amazing movie.
yeah. But, yeah,
Amazing.
So if you ever listen to Eli Roth on podcasts or interviews, he's also great. That guy can talk for hours
Mhm.
about horror. So yeah, that's what I said. There's a lot of stuff I love about Eli Roth. I know he can be polarizing or bipolar, but he's,
Got fans feeling very bipolar.
I think there's stuff there for it.
His presence is
but yeah,
cool.
I guess
Sure.
yeah, I say he does a lot of producing. There's a lot of there's a huge gap between I think Hostel 2 to Green Inferno of like him directing, because he was like just producing shit for that whole time and just making other people's movies, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he's definitely what do you call that? Like a very much a connective tissue as far as that goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he is very much well ingrained inside the community.
Yeah. And you gotta love anyone keeping horror alive. I mean, that's why also, like I said earlier, it reminds me talking about Rob Zombie. It's like I want to like a lot of Rob Zombie stuff, and I just kind of just respect more his aesthetic and like
For sure.
how to keep horror alive rather than the movies he puts out.
That's a lot of how I
but yeah,
feel about him too, and that it's a strange parallel with him and Eli Roth in that respect. Not necessarily for the aesthetic. I can't watch an Eli Roth film and recognize an aesthetic,
True.
But
Mm.
it's gritty. The stuff that he does is gritty, and it's in your face, and it's torturous.
Well, with Eli Roth, I recognize it's an Eli Roth film just by like the dialogue, how people talk, because they just like the male characters are always just like the douchiest.
The dumb college
uh,
guy.
Yeah, always, and they always just talk about their penises.
Dude,
like-
if he took that college toilet humor and put it towards a film that was appropriate for college toilet
Yeah.
humor, it would probably be wonderful.
Probably,
You
do
know,
that,
like
Ira.
if he went direction, it would probably be absolutely wonderful and just stepped outside of horror.
That's a good point. Wow.
That's why
Yeah, like a
I was
college
excited
esque movie.
when they first announced the Meg, that movie, like with Jason Statham and
Mhm.
stuff. Eli Roth was directing it at first, and I was like, "That's the movie I want to see." This crazy big budget shark movie with Jason Statham and Eli Roth,
I
rated
could-
R and craziness. Like that sounds like fucking awesome. And then
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
yeah, but then he dropped out because what I read is that they weren't going to do rated R. Then he dropped out. And most recently, he was doing the Borderlands movie. I don't know if you guys ever played the video game,
Yup.
I'm a Borderlands
but he was
2
doing-
person.
yeah, and so he was making the movie, but then he also dropped out of that movie for whatever reason, and that's why he made Thanksgiving.
Wow. I wonder if it was like an Uwe Boll situation where he got very, very fearful about what was it, Blood Rain, and he was like, oh, what if all these people, or no, House of the Dead, and then Blood Rain, right?
I mean, he did a lot of video games.
Uwe Boll. But I wonder if Eli Roth was like, well, maybe I don't want to open myself up to that. I don't want to open myself up to the
it seems
gamers.
like consistency. I mean, it seems like they're like, hey, here's this big project, and then he'll kind of start to do it and be like, you know what, I don't want to do these big movies at all.
It's too much stress. It's too much stress.
Which I guess I kind of respect it. But yeah, and then he also did like a kids movie not too long ago, like a horror kids movie with like Jack Black, called like The House with the Clock in its Walls. I've never seen it.
Yeah,
Oh wow, I
I
never heard
haven't
of
seen
it.
that.
I remember
wonder
getting good
what-
reviews.
Does anybody know how he got attached to Fright Crew, or how that came
no
about?
idea.
No,
No, that's a good
The only
question.
I follow him just on social media, and then he just randomly shared this, like a trailer for it. And he was like, streaming now on Peacock. And my first
Oh.
animation. I was like, okay, I didn't know
Will
this
do.
even existed. But I mean, I don't know, I'm sure he just. I mean, he seems like a guy who's just kind of all over the place. So I'm sure this has probably been working on for a while, until finally someone came with the right technology or the right animation studio just kind of came aboard in some way. Is what I imagine.
I mean, arguably, would any of them have been right? I'm just gonna say I was not the biggest
I know
fan.
what you say.
I was not the biggest fan. And
Interesting.
it bums me out.
I feel like I liked this more than I thought I was gonna like it. To be
I did
honest, I was
too.
expecting not to like it at all.
No, it's
I knew I was
Yeah,
gonna like it,
took
and I did.
it's not that
I took
I
place
I was like, this
in
is totally up my alley. Everything about it.
it's not that I didn't that there weren't
because we're back in the bayou, Ben.
huh?
We're back in the bayou.
Of course, like that's my problem. That's the thing is this has so many elements that like I am familiar with, that I enjoy, that I like, and it just sort of fell flat for me. Like it really, really did, and I wanted to like it.
But like, what fell flat for you?
I don't know. I didn't like the animation. That was a part of it.
Yeah.
Whatever program they were using, like I sort of liked the art, like a little bit. Like I liked the monsters. I thought those looked pretty cool, but in general, I don't know, man. Like a lot of stuff didn't hit for me on
No, I
this.
feel you about the animation. Like it's definitely like, especially since recently, I feel like we've been watching these animated shows that are like really pushing the limit of what they can do with their animation. Like recently, we did Ball Masters, right? I
Right.
mean, that show was probably made for a quarter of a budget what this show was made, and the way that he could, totally make the animation just look insane. And then this is just kind of bland.
It was flat. I don't know that it necessarily really knew what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think a thing that bothered me a lot is like the realistic sort of looking backgrounds. And I know what they're going for. I understand like the depth of field, and we're looking to sort of wash that out, and that's why a lot of the background is out of focus. But at a certain point, like when you go soft on stuff like that, and your foreground really pops, it just looks like you're putting sheets of like cellophane over something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. They're just taking that, they're taking that blur effect and just going, all right, I'm going to bring it to 50%.
Right. I don't know. So the animation bothered me. I did like I said, I did like some of the monster stuff. I I love voodoo stuff. Like Serpent and the Rainbow is a great movie.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I dig
So
voodoo.
Ben,
I'm into it.
do you is any of because I mean, obviously, I don't know anything about the culture that they're talking about and these kind of like beings or gods. I don't even know how to even describe them. But like, is any of that true? I mean, do you know anything about the kind of lore that they were talking about?
So yes.
Marie, say it. What's her name?
Oh my God.
The voodoo witch.
It's
Marie.
I know who you're talking about too, and I don't remember.
I'm gonna ruin it.
She's Marie. Fuck. It's the same lady in American Horror Story. Marie La something along those lines. I forget. I'm very bad with it too.
It's something along those lines.
It's-
Like it's Laveau,
It's-
something like
I'm
that.
not gonna attempt to say it.
It's very, very French. It's very.
She was real.
Marie Laveau. Yeah, she was very real. As far as like sort of the spirits that they touch on, absolutely. And I think that's the kicker. You can't make a show like this and really expound on an actual religion and an actual sort of situation like that without being accurate as to what they can do, how they can do, because you're going to piss people off these days, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And and I even said I had no idea about really any of this stuff. I mean, I knew there was like voodoo stuff that would go on in New Orleans and stuff, but I didn't like ever really think about it as this like, oh, this is where all these creatures are going to live, and this like horror
Yeah,
kind of city.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
That's a surprise as well.
New Orleans is huge for that. New Orleans is how do you put it? It's massive for voodoo legend and lore, but a lot of that is because a lot of this came up from like Haitian witch doctors, people from Haiti, Dominican Republic, all the places where voodoo really sort of kicked off, right? There are portions of Africa where voodoo is also sort of big. It's like any other religion in the fact that it sort of sprouted and found footing as people would travel, as people would grow, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, Rougarou, all those things, very much a portion of the voodoo lore and legend. Yeah.
A Rougarou.
That's the werewolf thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that just a werewolf, or is it like different than a werewolf?
It's Louisiana's werewolf. It's very much that. Louisiana's werewolf.
But
Oh, so
those,
that is like a real thing. Okay, I was wondering. I was like, oh, is that a real thing? Like the show didn't make that up. Like that exists.
No. Yeah, they're playing
It's
inside of
lore.
actual lore. Yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
it
So
just
that's
didn't
cool.
translate well in
Right.
the animation.
Right.
Like
Oh, yeah?
the
Oh, okay.
lore and the creatures and Marie, I will mess her name up, did not translate
Laveau.
well in the animation and also in the voice acting.
Yeah. And these are the things that like I want to like about it, right? So I love the idea of actually dipping into folktale and folklore for these things. I felt, and maybe I'm not the correct audience for this, and I'll fully accept that too. Maybe as a child, I might like it more, but I had a problem with the storytelling too, because it felt like always there. the ball only got moved forward like a little bit each chapter, and they kept going back and back over the same shit. Like the first time we're introduced to vampires, great, now we live in a world where vampires exist. But then the next 3 episodes, there's a character saying, and by the way, vampires are real.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's little shit like that that started to get to me as I continued to watch it. I liked Pat. I thought Pat was
I thought
cool.
Pat was my favorite out of all the kids.
Right.
Hey, which one was Pat?
Yeah, I gotta check which
The
one.
little
He was
chunky
the pudgy
feller.
one.
Oh,
okay.
New kid.
Okay.
He was new
Oh
kid.
yeah, he had the best story. I mean, when like he had the most fucked up story because I mean his dad gets murdered. You know, not even like associated with any of the big shit that even his dad dies even before all this stuff was even going down. His dad was literally just a casualty.
So I liked him. I liked Soleil. She was pretty cool. And here's the thing: when I watched the first episode, and we're getting the setup with the blood fight, the blood bag fight. At that point, I'm all in. I was in it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then it lost me. Like basically, I don't know how to put it, man. Like they get their powers, and that seemed pretty cool. But then the second they get to the aunt and everything, and she's like, "Oh, it's like this." I think they could have played more. I don't know. It lost me.
Well, the aunt just seemed like a complete caricature of what a voodoo woman should be or is. You know, it was just a complete caricature.
Yes.
And that threw me out too.
It does.
As much as I loved Pat's character, his aunt kind of sucks.
But that you like this more than you expected. So I mean, what'd you like about it?
I liked that it was set in New Orleans. I did like it's like Ben said, it's cool that they were going with this voodoo lore. And it was cool in some ways that it was presented, but I just wish it would have, that like the storytelling would have actually drawn me and kept me engaged, and it didn't.
Guys think it's because it's a PG rating? The storytelling is the way it is.
You can get away with so much though with a PG. I mean, you
100%.
really can. You can dance around that.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they did get away with a little bit as a PG rating. They were definitely
There was
murdering some
blood.
people.
Yeah.
There was, yeah, because you just watch, not to, in the future, we just watched Frankenweenie, and that was PG, and I just felt like, they said that as like the stakes never felt so high. It didn't feel like anything because those creatures weren't doing shit, even though they were running amok. At least I felt like there were some stakes going on here, that like things are in danger.
Yeah.
I also had a problem with the big bad. Like I'm just gonna sit here and tell you
that he was just kind of whatever.
It wasn't a great villain. Belial.
Belial. But my problem.
But he looked scary.
Well, do you know what he looked like? He
ain't got no nose. No, I don't.
That's the spookiest part about him. He reminded me of what is it? What was the thing's name in the most recent season of Stranger Things? Vin something or other.
Vecna.
Yeah.
Vecna.
Yeah. Looked kind of like him.
Yeah.
And sort of reminded me of when Frank is first starting to get like his body back in the Hellraiser stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gave me subtle nods of that, but again, it kind of fell weak. I liked the witch coming out at the end of the whole thing, of the whole series. I thought that was a pretty dope character concept and looked pretty rad. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. We could have done better. And I don't think it was a PG-13 rating. I don't. Or the PG rating. I think they could have told a better story, is what it is. And I think as far as like the voodoo religion goes, when you're touching on anybody's religion, you always want to paint it in arguably the better light, right? And I'm sorry, I'm very long-winded on this. I could tell you all day long about this shit that I hate.
It. I don't know anything about this stuff.
So the thing there is when you're looking at any sort of religion, especially something that over the course of the years has been kind of as maligned as voodoo has, right? The notion of painting it as this sort of familial, kind of down home sort of deal, I got mad. I understand. I got mad respect for. However, I think they sweetened that pot almost too much. Almost too much. I think they could have played into some of the more kind of witch doctory kind of aspects of it. Like nobody cut a chicken's throat at all in this, and they should have a couple of times, you know. I think they could have played in a little bit more into some of that because that's very real. That's very, very real as far as like
wait, well, why would they cut the chicken?
It's part of the
part
sacrifice.
of ceremony.
Yeah, part of the ceremony. Part of the stuff you do, yeah.
But really, could they do that on a DreamWorks animation?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I mean,
Here's our Santeria moment.
They could have cheated. I mean, some people were getting stabbed. I mean, there was that whole I forgot what those like gargoyle looking creatures were, but when they're fighting the vampires, he straight up stabs one of them, like straight through. But then they like crop up the image a lot, so you only see like the guy's face and then like the spike like that went through his body like just behind him. You know, like so you don't see any actual penetration through him.
So there's a way you could have done the chicken thing, and you could have had a moment of comedy inside of it as well. What you do is when the aunt is telling them about the ritual and about the offerings, you know, they offer the one guy the candy and the shiny things. I forget, it's Papa something or other. But if they're getting ready to do some type of ritual, you could have the chicken just sitting in a cage, and then it could be like, and then we need our live chicken, and you cut to the chicken and it goes bakak, and then a feather flies off of its butt. And then you cut, and in the next scene, you know, there's the dead chicken with the X in its eyes, and then the blood spread around the thing. I think that would have been perfect. That's how you avoid it. You know what I mean? You don't have
They could have pulled that off.
You don't have to see them cut the throat.
Yeah. Yeah, so they could have pulled it off, and they didn't. Come on, Eli Roth. Nicole, you said you liked it. What are your thoughts so far on the show?
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely like, sorry, I'm eating edamame as I talk. There were definitely like things about it that I thought were like incredibly basic and like could have stepped out of the box more. I guess what I liked about it is it's definitely like a kind of like a what you see is what you get type thing. I guess just like it's just like a cute little monster PG rated show. And like like everything I could have like possibly like predicted. It's predictable, right? And it's like not doing anything necessarily too. And that's what I like about it though too, I guess. It's just like incredibly digestible. Like I binged it, which I often have mixed feelings about doing that, about content in general, because I feel like I don't like take as much in as I would like to. Yeah. That being said, it was like a fun binge. For sure. I did like each of the individual characters, particularly Misty a lot. I feel like she had a cool arc there. Where she like
she's like the popular girl, right?
Yeah, and I like that she was friends with Soleil, and then like at the top of the show, she's like not friends with her, and then she like becomes and
talk about predictableness, man. Like the second she like, you know, starts going angry at Celeste, I was like, oh, she's gonna become this fucking monster.
Yeah,
and then she's gonna get used to it, and then they're gonna be best friends at the end of this.
Yeah, and it was
went
cool.
Down.
It was cool how at the end she was like talk to her boyfriend about it and stuff, and all the shit with her boyfriend's like storyline was kind of crazy. And again, like a lot of predictability here, but like I like was like, okay, you know what? It's like fucking Halloween time. I want just like I don't know, like no offense, James. I know you because I know you are also a big Monster Squad fan, as am I. That's like a very predictable, very good go-to monster story. You know, like when you sit down for Monster Squad, even if you haven't even fucking seen it, you know what you're getting into. I feel like that's what's right.
Those werewolf monsters, do they got nards?
Oh, that's your question.
Yeah, of course they do. Yes, but I don't know. I would say this though, because I'm a huge Monster Squad Mark II. The first time I saw it, I did not think it was going to end with like an 8-year-old girl waving an amulet at Dracula. I will say that.
Mhm.
I'm just
Well, that's
just
fair.
gonna
That
say
is
I don't know that
unpredictable.
it's
That ending's the best because they're like, we need a virgin, and then they had the one girl, and they're like, you said you were a virgin,
said you
and she
were
was like, well.
and then she goes, "What is it? Am I a version? Am I a version?"
Yeah.
Probably are. Where Monster Squad could have got dark as if that didn't work either. That's
Yeah. That's a different movie, man.
Ooh, that's written by
That's what-
Stephen King in the 80s on Coke.
Yeah. On Coke.
That's when we reveal the real monsters aren't the monsters at all.
I did also think that like it was like kind of interesting, like that like vampire dad dude that like like he watched his wife get like hit by a car, and then his friends were like, he was like, help me out, and they were like, we can't do this, we'll like expose ourselves. That's like an interesting kind of like question. It's like, what would you, if you were a vampire in that situation, what would you do? Like, would you expose like the secret of like all your vampire friends and like save this one person's life, or would you let them die? And
I was like thinking
was, like,
about
interesting.
it at first. Like when I watched it at first, I was like, man, fuck these vampire and werewolf dude. Like, why not just save this dude's wife? But then I was like, well, you turn into a vampire, right? I mean, you're this internal being that's gonna look the same that way forever, right? And then it's like if she becomes a vampire and he doesn't, I mean, they're not gonna have that same relationship anymore.
Right.
Ever.
She's gonna watch him die. He's gonna get old as fuck. I mean, it's just like I don't think it would have worked out the way he would have intended it to work out anyway.
yeah, I think you're right. And I think that he was a little too vengeful for that. Like, I think they even said when it happened, they're like, dude, look, like, we fucking love her. Like, this sucks, but, like, what are we going to do? Like, we can't expose an entire species of vampires for this one person. So I thought that raised a good question that I actually had not seen before in, like, which, like, maybe it has been in, like, vampire storytelling, but I thought that was cool.
I thought that was cool, too. But yeah, but then there was like the one brother who turned into a vampire, and I remember he was like, I want to do this, and then I never understood why. Like he could have just never been a vampire, and I don't know, nothing would have kind of been different.
They needed a vampire for season 2 that was connected to the team. It like, and that's the other thing too is, when you look at sort of that. They're clearly teeing up the potential for a second season, whatever, and maybe it'll get it, maybe it'll be better, and maybe they won't have to explain everything each episode repeatedly again. I hope so, but I really think it was just to sort of build the roster a little bit more. Is all it was,
I guess I get it, but like, I don't know. I guess the motivation behind it
is lame. It's not there.
Yeah.
This
You're like, I want to be a vampire. I gotta protect my family. But then it's like he didn't like do anything in that fight, and his brother's the one who ended up really saving everyone. So like, now you're just stuck as a vampire.
I also didn't like that kid's name.
But like, I don't know. I guess the motivation.
I didn't like his name. I didn't like his name. Maybe. Stop it. No. Dumb
His name was Maybe.
Yeah, they kept calling Will, the kid that could go into the shadow world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I forgot his name was Maybe.
Yeah.
That was
Perchance.
yeah. By
That's their
happenstance.
little brother.
But I did like it. He actually had my favorite powers though. Was that kid?
Yeah. His power.
Like going to the shadow realm seems so cool.
I don't know, Fire Hands with the name Soleil on top of that.
Yeah.
Like we didn't see that coming.
The fire hands are awesome, but like
That's a good
the
point.
fire hands were great, but she never they never did anything with the fire hands once. Like I felt like
No.
she could have like there was like way cooler things she could have done with it, and never like, oh, my fire hands will help me in this situation. Like she never really used those powers.
It was
at all.
cheaper to animate the air hands the one time she
Yeah.
had to use them. Was the air hands.
Yeah.
Well,
But
and
still,
that's
the Shadow Realm shit. It's like it reminds me of that fucking and like the Sixth Sense without like being as creepy about it. You know, like
right.
you can see dead people when you like want to see dead people. You know?
No.
Just not constantly.
Yeah.
Pick and choose.
They're what I read, I did a little research, is that they actually are just exposing what is it, Soleil's powers slowly but surely, one each season. So this season we got air. Next season we'll get water, and then by the time
she's an avatar.
by the time we make it to season 3, we'll finally get fire.
Oh.
I'm making
Yeah.
that up. That's a lie. That is a lie.
I was watching a YouTube review though where they did refer to her as an avatar though. So James, when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, something like that.
There goes water and earth and next. Yeah, because there was like that one scene where she was falling. I was like, why is she not using like just her like fire hands right now? You know, to like fucking shoot yourself up, or like, you know, you have fucking jet hands basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Do some shit.
Iron Man that shit. You know what I mean? Like, gotta be full Iron Man. Just be like, boom. You know?
Do some shit. That's what
Yeah.
I kept wanting to say. It's just fucking do something. There, I don't know. I wanted it to be so much more. I liked the pizza parlor guy. Lou, right? Ruga Lou's.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, like, what a great job hiding who you are when you're just like, yeah, here's the vampire's place was called, like, blood-sucking something or whatever. Like, pizza place is
hiding
named
in plain
after
sight.
them. It's like, literally, yeah. It's like, we're going to hide, but we're also just going to tell you. Like, yeah, the worst way to hide.
It's like literally just like you have to ask and we'll tell you, yeah, I'm a fucking vampire.
It's the
They have
U.S.
it. government,
is what that is. It's parasites in plain sight. That's all it is.
There you go.
They lie,
There you
cheat, and steal from you, tell you that they're doing it, and then ultimately, you know, you let it go because at least they told you.
I love the amount
You
we've talked about politics on this episode, I have to say. Let's keep it going every episode.
Yeah, you figured it out, Ben. This is Eli Roth's, like, political statement for
Gotta be.
2023.
I already know.
It wasn't just a bad voodoo X-Men. It was political all along.
Absolutely. Yeah, this frustrated me so much because, again, I wanted it to be so much better, and I still think it would have had. I still think it had potential to, like, the first episode in general. Like, I was in, and then I guess it was midway through the second. I was already like, oh, this is gonna start to suck, and then it sucked. And I think it is because they played too much into those tropes of like the predictability. Oh, they don't like each other. They like each other. Oh, now she's transforming. She's a teen girl. She doesn't want to be Harry. Then she's going to get okay with it. She'll be the Incredible Hulk and learn to figure out her powers. It's it was all just, and that to me was very Hulk. You know, control your rage.
For sure, yeah. Straight up Hulk.
I don't know.
And that's probably how, like, part of the show got made, where it's like Eli Roth was like, I want to make this kid's horror show, but we can also, they're like superheroes, you know?
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
DreamWorks was like, okay,
Yeah, whatever the fuck
it's
you say.
marketable now.
And guys, the Hulk is gonna be a teen girl on the dance squad. What? Give me money.
And then they're like,
Shut
yeah,
up and
take
take
our-
my money.
because for some reason, Eli Roth can also, people just give this guy money, no matter how, like, polarizing he is. Like, he just keeps making shit. Like, people still want to keep giving him money all the time.
Well, it
It's
makes
rolling
sense.
the Eli Roth dice. I don't blame him.
Yeah. If you've got a track record that even if your track record is like what 70-30, 60-40, somewhere in there, if the notion of your success is even slightly greater, then
And when you look back, the first, I mean, even probably Cabin Fever too, but the first two Hostel movies made a fuck ton of money.
Right.
Like,
Good point.
especially Hostel 1. I mean, that just came out kind of the right time kind of thing. I mean, I remember when that movie was everywhere.
And
like people, we're just like, have you seen this movie? This movie's so fucked up. You gotta go.
and so
do
part of that is based on the budget you were given at the time, which those movies were made for a fraction of a percentage of what a Hollywood movie is usually made for, right? And in their box office, it's the same thing that happened with the Blair Witch. You know, you take a thing that's made for dirt fucking cheap, and then it rakes in millions. If you look at your cost analysis of like input to outcome, like that ratio is huge, and everybody keeps chasing that dragon, and it's never gonna happen that way again. Never.
And another fun fact that I know about Hostel, I just thought about it, and why I love Eli Roth too, is that most of his movies, 90% of it is live recorded sound. He likes to get sound on set rather than ADR at most, because most movies, especially Hollywood movies, are usually 90% ADR. You know, if you watch any Marvel movie, most of it's not recorded, like even on set. So I love that Eli Roth cares about sound.
That is cool.
And that they're matching performance later on.
Yeah.
And again, that's a thing you can never match again. You can never match that again.
I mean, sometimes you have to ADR shit. You know, it's just, you know, when you're shooting a movie, sometimes there's a rainstorm and you're in a trailer that the rain's jumping over and hitting the trailer. So, you know, sometimes things happen and you have to ADR, but always try to get the best live sound. And for a bigger director to do that, I think is pretty awesome.
Does he do ADR at all? Do you know, or is it just kind of like
sure?
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure there is ADR. Like every movie ever has some sort of ADR in it. That's just like it's usually a part of the process. Like I said, you know, sometimes you're there's a hailstorm going on when you're outside. And,
Right, fair enough.
So, what is it? Sometimes there are continual cars driving through a scene because you can't shut down a road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes there's a concert going on at 7 p.m. on a Saturday night outside your laundromat. Yeah. I got you.
I'm sure you ran into those same problems, you know. And I'm glad that, you know, a lot of it's live sound. But yeah, I don't go back to this show. Yeah, I don't know, man. I still find it fun. Like I like the fairies, those weird, like creepy fairy things. I like that it was revealed that because there was that one girl that you see in the first episode, and then you find out later that she was like a fairy monster, and she was just kind of like a background side character.
Oh,
and I like that. Like, they're like, I like knowing that there's like other people I'm looking at could also just be something weird.
Yeah, I remember that girl. That is interesting. I like how they did that.
And they were cool things. I mean, I don't know. I did think the dire dare could have been cooler. The dares are kind of lame.
Yeah, the dares were pretty lame.
That fucking fell flat too. It's dumb. I'm gonna scream at the fucking wall. Dumb. Dire dare.
You're such a storyteller at heart. You really are.
I worry about it to a point to where it's like I get grumpy at stuff. But like I watch like I think it's because I also like documentaries a lot, and narrative has to be there. We have to have like a point of view. We have to have point A to point B without just it being like so straightforward. You still want to work in a twist. You want to take it in a direction you're not expecting it to go. I love a good story. Again, I think that's also why I like Stern. I think that's the same thing.
Nice.
Whatever. One of these days we'll find the pilot for Howard Stern, the high school years, and we'll talk for like 5 hours about that. It'll be.
Is that a real thing?
I was saying, wait, is that a real show? Oh.
He was getting ready to do an animated series back in the day, and I think they got to the pilot phase and then it sort of fizzled out. But
is that after Private Parts?
It would have been after Private Parts and around the time he was producing Son of the Beach. I want to say it fell by the wayside around the same time that his Porky's remake kind of fell by the wayside. Yeah. Because if nobody knew that, Howard was working on a reimagining of Porky's.
That would have been interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. I was gonna say something. Now I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
You were talking a little bit about elements of this that you enjoyed, and the fairy people and the background people, and the fact that that the supernatural stuff can sort of pop out of anywhere.
Yeah, and talk about things I enjoy, but now we're talking about it more. I mean, I'm like, man, I do kind of hate this show more than I thought.
I'll bring you over to my side, bro.
Yeah, we're taking you to the dark side.
I'll bring you over.
Because I was having a good time. It's like literally when I saw it, I was like, all right, this looks cool.
I guess that's
And
what it was.
And then I saw that it was PG, and I usually write off things that are PG all the time. I'm like, I just don't like PG horror. Like for me, it's like actually not even so much PG. I hate PG-13 horror.
Right.
Like if you're gonna do a horror movie, don't just fucking just go R. Like why? Like PG-13 always feels like you're holding it back for some reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Holding it back to get crowds and to make money.
Yeah. Good point. That's exactly
Like there was a movie Megan, right, that came out like not too long ago.
Yes, I saw
and
that.
it's rated PG-13. I was like, I want to see this movie. Like I know it's just
I
gonna be
refuse
some
to watch it.
dancing fucking robot.
It was solid, but it wasn't anything like I don't know. I feel like it got a lot of attention and like good for that horror movie. It was fine. Like nothing too special.
Have you guys watched the unrated cut?
There's an unrated cut.
No, I only saw it like in theaters.
There's
That
an
was-
unrated
that
cut
was-
that is baller. Not even playing.
Maybe I'll check into that.
Not
Alright.
Like I
even-
said, I see PG-13, especially in a slasher movie. I'm like, I'm out. Like, there's no reason it should be PG-13.
Because
Yeah.
I felt the same way sort of about Megan. I was like, I don't know that I want to see this. But then when I saw that there was an unrated cut that I can't remember exactly how much more they added into it, but they amp up some of the kills. The story gets a little bit darker, and it's actually I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie a lot more than I thought I was gonna. A lot more than I thought.
And
I was.
there's a new movie that just came out on Amazon, and it's part of these like Blumhouse horror movies they're putting out where they're kind of mashing genres together. There was like the Groundhog's Day, Death Day, and then there was the Freaky Friday one, Freaky. Then they put out this new one called like Totally Killer, which is just Back to the Future, but as like a slasher movie. And most of it's like really good, but it's PG-13, and I feel like it just gets kind of.
Oh wow, that's PG-13.
Actually, I could be wrong. I think it's rated R.
I kept
I've
hearing
been
about
seeing
that.
reviews for that popping
Yeah.
up all over the place. So I've been thinking it's like Nicole and I were talking about earlier. People recommend stuff that you trust.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we're going to gravitate towards, and I've been seeing that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I really need to sit down and
Yeah,
watch
horror
that.
Twitter is the
It's
best for
rated
that
R.
kind of thing. Horror Twitter, if you want to find out about like new horror stuff. So, and everyone's been talking about Totally Killer on horror
It's
Twitter.
good. I enjoyed it. And yeah, like I said, it is rated R. I lied, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
better. And like, I don't know. I'm tired of PG-13 fucking horror movies. They're just lame, and that was fun.
There was.
I guess I get why like this show wouldn't necessarily scratch the itch then. Yes, and it's PG, PG-13. Wait, what is this show? Or what the fuck is this? The rating on this show? Is it PG?
Mm-hmm.
PG.
I don't know. Okay. All right.
And I guess the PG could work. I mean, horror PG could work.
It
for
does
younger
work.
people.
It does. Like that's the thing, man. Is like it. I get what you're saying as far as I want the big scares and everything, but there are things, and I'm struggling. I've been sitting here in the back of my head trying to really look at what is terrifying or what can be scary at that sort of level, and it's like there you can tell a horror story and have it be good without it being too graphic. You can play into
That's fair.
like a psychology. You can play into all of these elements. You can get a couple of good jump scares in. You can do all of that. It doesn't have to be necessarily so graphic, but that's where story really has to come in. Like that's where
Yeah.
like that shit's got to be lockstep. You know, you have to have that plotted and planned for that to work. And honestly, with this, I don't even know that the scares are what's the word I'm looking for. I don't even know that the scares or the horror element is really necessarily the goal. You know?
Well, they're not.
Yeah, like
The horror characters aren't scary. The voodoo characters,
Yeah,
the
that's a
lore,
point.
the creatures really aren't scary. I could think of like being a kid and watching the Last Unicorn and the skeleton on the armoire. You know, Mrs. Brisby and the rats of Nim.
Do you know what
And
I was thinking? Do you know what was in the back of my head from
Watership
last
Down.
night?
What? I was like, you're gonna shout out Watership Down. I'm gonna cry because that still scares me.
No, it was gonna be Large Marge.
Hell, Chiodo Brothers.
Yes.
Bring in the scares in Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Yeah, like there's so many other things that are so like it can happen. Animation can be terrifying, but
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
like you
there's,
said,
like-
there has to be a story, and these creatures have to be scary, and these weren't.
Right.
The creepiest thing I remember in this show, like the only thing I even thought was like remotely creepy, was when there's like the lady, like the ghost lady, doesn't have a mouth,
Yeah.
and then like they show her backstory where he like paints like the red over like the painting, and then it goes to her mouth that like
Right.
forms to nothing, and then she like collapses and shit. Like that was like the only really creepy moment I can really think about that was in this show.
That was pretty good.
I did like that, and I like when they're scraping the wax off of the mouth, and then the spirit can do the thing. I thought that was cool. If they had continued to dip into that vein a little bit more, because at a certain point that kind of goes away.
And there was like that dude in the beginning with the giant snake who he lived like in the graveyard or whatever. And that guy kind of disappeared, but he was like, that was some creepy shit too. And that was just kind of, he literally disappears. I have no
Yeah.
idea what happened to
Oh yeah.
Graveyard Johnny went away.
him. Yeah.
Graveyard
I
Johnny.
like we go to his place, and his place just has like knives and shit everywhere. And then the giant snake skin like kind of stapled to the ceiling.
He's got his big python wrapped around him. Yeah. Like again, I don't know. There are ways that this could have been 10 times the show it was. Maintained its rating, and like I'd have been bought and sold.
Yeah.
Love Louisiana, half a coon ass, naturally half a coon ass, right? Like my pop's a whole coon ass.
Yeah.
Like it swamp stuff. Cajun
Yeah, and also,
stuff.
I don't even remember there even being any swamp stuff in this at all.
There's
No.
one
Oh, yeah.
episode where they go to the swamp, remember, and they're looking at the plants and stuff. I think it's like either 6 or 7, and it's literally
Okay.
called The Swamp. But it's so fucking forgettable. That's
Yeah. Well, then do you know any shows or movies that kind of talk about this kind of stuff better? You know, about all this?
maybe that aren't as informative and might be playing more into sort of the fear aspect. But one of the greatest voodoo movies ever made is Serpent in the Rainbow. Like
Mhm.
that's an awesome movie.
That's my favorite Wes Craven movie, and
Mm.
it didn't happen overnight. Like when I was a kid and I saw it for the first time, it went over my head, you know.
Yep.
But when you get older, you watch it again and again. It's terrifying.
I've never
And
seen
Bill
it.
Pullman's
Oh.
great.
Oh,
So
I love Bill Pullman.
good.
Yeah.
So good. I'm really trying to think. I didn't do a deep dive on good voodoo lore, but I know there's a bunch of stuff that I've seen over the course of time. Hell, even American AHS, American Horror Story season 3 is all about the witches, and they dip into Marie Laveau. That was Angela Bassett's first year,
Yep, and Kathy Bates.
and Kathy
Oh,
Bates'
there's,
first year.
There's the Hatchet movies, right? And that all takes place.
That all takes place down in the swamp, you know?
Is White Zombie there's not a voodoo zombie movie?
The original, I believe you are correct. But it's been a long ass time since I've seen White Zombie. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie.
Me too. I don't know. I'm just trying to get some. I want to watch some good, Louisiana horror. That's not this.
Yeah,
So
right.
curious of what else is, if you knew anything else.
I'm looking through here, and there's a Pam Grier voodoo zombie movie called Sugar Hill. Let's see, Night of the Zombies. A lot of this stuff sort of dips into that. Yeah. I'm looking through.
Yeah, this is where zombies started, right? Am I wrong? Right? It was for voodoo shit first.
Yep.
Before it became the
Believe
zombie.
so. My first taste of voodoo in any sort of entertainment form and horror form was EC Comics,
Yes.
because there were so many voodoo stories, that ended with the twist ending.
Yes.
Tales from the Crypt, Vault, all of that.
There's what is it? I'm gonna have to look up the name of the drug. I can never remember it. But there's the voodoo powder, the zombification drug that they scopolamine, and then and then it makes you very susceptible to suggestion to whatever. So depending on where you're traveling, a lot of times like Central South America, particularly to tourists. There's a group of folks that will come up to you, blow a little something, you'll get a little in your nose, and then they'll take you right to an ATM, and you will give them everything inside of your bank.
Oh my god!
Whoa.
What the fuck?
Look up scopolamine. Yeah. It's basically a zombification drug, and it's very much. What's the word I'm looking for? Like it's very effective in small doses. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh yeah. Listen.
Don't let people blow dust in your face, folks.
Yeah. Story here. Be careful.
Stay away from all white powders.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a better moral. There you go.
Yeah.
They wait for all powders in your nose.
Powder drugs have become very bad. Yeah, very, very bad.
I'll avoid that one.
You don't know if your cocaine is fentanyl anymore, and it's not worth either one at this point. It's terrible.
Like someone's trying to rob all your shit, and they accidentally switch it with the fentanyl.
Oh my God. You guys remember?
Oh my god.
Cocaine was just cocaine. Like that's the grumpy old man at the party. He's got his arms crossed. You kids and your powdered drugs these days. I remember when cocaine was just cocaine. Yeah. Whatever. Sorry.
That's what we're at in the show, man. Talking about cocaine.
Cocaine and scopolamine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a spooky combo for sure. Very spooky.
Yeah, or the wrong guy who mixes up the fentanyl with the scopolamine.
Joey says, "Yo, I know what I'm trying this weekend." Thank you, Joey K,
Very nice.
for weighing in there. We appreciate you.
Very nice.
Have you guys to talk about a good show? Have you guys watched this Fall the House of Usher on Netflix?
Hell yeah.
Liz was saying that. Yeah, reminding that
just
to me.
I just finished it yesterday, man. Holy shit! I actually I walked into it. Not that I wasn't expecting much, but I just didn't expect to like it as much as I did, and it's fucking awesome.
I love Mike Flanagan, and even in his, I'm not a Bly Manor person, but it's not terrible. But I'm not a Bly Manor person, but I love most everything that Mike Flanagan puts his name on, and this is incredible.
Yeah, I didn't watch the show he did before this because it was like The House on Haunted Hill, right? And then
so good.
The Haunting of Hill House, like Shirley Jackson's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a show after that. I didn't watch that because
Bly Manor sucks.
Yeah, I didn't really
Don't watch that
get into
one.
it. Yeah, I remember. But this was awesome. That's why I was like apprehensive about it. Cause like I really didn't like the last show, but then I decided to just throw it on, and I was hooked on that first episode. Like,
I was
you know,
explaining to Nicole, it's like
Yeah.
it's like Ryan Murphy, but it's storytelling. It's cohesive, cohesive, and there's no. It's not trashy.
and
You know, it's what
yeah,
Ryan
definitely
Murphy wished it could be.
Yeah. Ah, man, yeah, I can go off about Ryan Murphy because I just do not like anything Ryan Murphy stuff related. But what I love about it was that as a show, I had literally no idea what was going on without feeling lost, and then also understanding everything when I got to like that last episode. And also then the fucking boiling, fucking shower scene.
Oh man, and you hit it with 9-inch nails, and it touches my heart in a very special way.
Definitely. I feel like
Yeah.
amazing. Tomorrow I'm gonna just like binge it. I'm just gonna like toss it on.
I
the
can't wait to
background.
talk to you about it.
Oh, thank yeah, same. I'm really.
It's gonna be a hard show to beat. The episodes are long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like an hour or so.
Yeah, some of them are an hour and like 12 minutes.
Oh shit. Okay.
So it's
Okay.
a hard
And I
to
don't
predict.
think Henry Thomas. You wouldn't think, like casting Henry Thomas in these horror shows, that
Yeah,
he'd knock shit right out of the park. Like, he is so great with Flanagan's, I guess, direction.
yeah.
Just completely different. And I think I liked him
Okay.
in this
Yeah.
series
And-
more than I have anything I've seen him in
Okay.
with Flanagan.
And you got Mark
Yeah.
Hamill as the fucking
Holy
lawyer.
shit! So he
Mhm.
sounds like an old gravelly Joker.
Yeah,
The best voice actor ever, and his voice acting comes through in this part as the family attorney big time.
I love it because like
Great
you know
casting.
you think Mark Hamill, and I don't think him as this like skeevy little fucking lawyer. You're trying to
Right.
always rip-
Yeah.
He's
so
forever
good.
your hero. Forever
Yeah.
a hero.
Yes.
I do love Poe adaptations, and I haven't seen this yet.
It's great.
But wasn't Vincent Price was in the original? Yes.
Yeah,
In the or the
Cor-
one in the 60s.
yeah, the Corman movie.
Yeah. So Vincent Price did a lot of Poe movies. He was also in The
When I was a
Mask.
kid, when I was younger, right? I honestly used to think that like Vincent Price and Edgar Allan Poe were like basically the same person.
Nice. Oh,
Just,
that's adorable.
How many things that like Vincent Price would just do that was just Poe related, and just like the way he talks and stuff like that.
That actually warms me up. That's one of the greatest things in the world. But no, so okay. So I'm jumping off a bridge here, and I had to tie strings together. I've never seen this new House of Usher. I very much am going to, based on what I have heard here this evening. When I was a kid, my mother was a geometry teacher. She also taught English a couple of times. She was going through a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe stuff with one of her classes. One of her students brings in a movie version, a film version of Mask of the Red Death. Okay, also a Poe story, and there was a 60s made Vincent Price movie of this. Mom thought that's what the kid had given her, right? So she pops it in to preview it because have you seen this, Liz, the one in 89?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is like one of the horniest movies ever. It
More than
is, bro. The kid brings it in and he's like, "We should watch this in class, ha ha ha." And Mom puts it in, and like, mind you, I'm probably like 10 or 11, and she cut it off so fucking quick, and then she took it in, and needless to say, they did not watch the 1989 version, but I would highly recommend you seek it out.
That reminds me, I just saw an article today that some kindergarten class played the new like Winnie the Pooh slasher movie.
Oh my god.
By acting class.
Yikes.
I saw that the teacher got it instead of Winnie the
Yeah.
Pooh and showed it to the kids. But I hope they stopped it.
I mean, I
Like,
didn't.
I hope they started it and they were like, "Oh, whoop."
I just saw the headline was like entire class of kindergartners freaked out for all the Pooh movie, played.
Have you guys watched through that yet? Blood and Honey?
Nah, I don't.
No.
I've kind of been apprehensive, to be completely honest.
Yeah, same. I'm with James.
So, have you watched it, Liz?
No.
Okay, I did.
It's on Peacock.
Yeah, I did.
Maybe tonight then.
If they made it past the first 3 minutes, that teacher should be fired. And not because the movie it's atrocious to begin with. It's high concept. It's very cool for that, but it is a bad movie. Just in general, and not so bad it's good. It's just shitty.
Yeah.
So the whole lore that they go through in the opening credits, though, I will say this: the opening credits you guys should watch. Christopher Robin basically goes to school, and he leaves all the characters of the 100 Acre Woods to fend for themselves, whereas he had been bringing them food, he'd been bringing them cakes, and he was their buddy. And without Christopher Robin there to feed them, to care for them, to whatever, the creatures ultimately starve. And not only are they starving, but they resort to cannibalism. And in the opening credits, there are these awesome drawings, but it's they're cannibalizing fucking Eeyore and Rabbit. And and ultimately, it's just Pooh and Piglet left. And they're pissed at Christopher Robin the whole time. This was their friend who turned their back on him. And now they are seeking out their revenge on not only him, but all humanity, every human who comes into the 100 Acre Wood.
I think you kind of sold me on this movie. That's an awesome setup.
No, it's a great setup. That's where it falls, though. Much like Fright Crew. That's where it falls. Good setup goes to shit.
Yeah, Fright Crew. I mean, like I said, you kind of convinced me. I've kind of turned the page a little bit on this show. Because I was kind of into it. I watched it once all the way through, and then 3 more episodes after that. I was like, you know what? I don't hate this at all. But yeah, this show's pretty dumb.
I wanted it so hard.
Okay. I like the show. Whatever, guys. I like it.
Good. Enjoy it. That's wonderful.
I just think, is it cooler that my 11-year-old stepson would have available to him to watch otherwise? Yes. So
that's fair too.
There's a positive to it, but would my teenage children give a shit about it? Absolutely not.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see, gotcha, there's it walks a fine line there for little kids versus older kids and through adults. And I think if it could tell the story, or if the story was more in depth, if the story meant something and things weren't as milquetoast along the way, I probably would have really enjoyed it more. So, I mean, it's like I said in the beginning with James, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it because I went in thinking, this is going to be god awful, and they're going to be very blasphemous to things that I love. Right. And they weren't necessarily, but they weren't necessarily making it cool either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's and I feel that 110%, especially with the notion of okay, if I went into it as a 10 or 11-year-old, I would get a kick out of it. I would get a kick out of it.
Right.
But it doesn't for me have a rewatchability factor as far as as an adult. There's stuff that was made for 7 and 8-year-olds that I love to this day for when I was a kid.
Dungeons and Dragons, man, that was bringing it back to our first year, man. That show still holds up.
It still holds up and is amazing. And not just Dungeons and Dragons, but other thousands, hundreds, dozens of other cartoons that made for kids, more compelling stories, and a rewatchability factor as an adult that is tremendous. And this wants some of that, but I just doesn't slice the cheese, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else more to fucking say about this show, so I'm just gonna start going around next. Let's fucking rate this shit. Liz, what are you gonna give this show? What are you rating it? What are your final thoughts?
What's our mid-range rating?
Success.
So yeah, I hate to do that 2 times in a row on the show, but I think it's not terrible, So it's definitely a success in that way.
So yeah, any final thoughts on it? I mean, we kind of said everything.
No, nobody needs to watch it.
Yeah,
You don't have
say
to.
that.
Try it. Check it out. Give it a chance.
Like I said, like my 11-year-old stepson would probably love this show. And there's lots of little kids in that middle school age bracket that would love shit like this, especially kids that are of color would love shit like this.
Right.
Yeah, to like you said, to talk about all this voodoo stuff and all these kind of creatures and like spirits that I've never heard of, like that's cool to talk about and bring up in a show.
Oh yeah.
Because no other Disney shows talking about that kind of stuff.
Nobody's talking
Yes.
about voodoo. Nobody's putting minority children in lead roles in animation.
Right.
So
Good
I mean,
point.
it's amazing. So yeah, there's good things about it.
To that end, yes, I will not disagree with that in any level or any regard. To the average listener of this show, you
Our
could
very white audience.
you could
To
no,
Dwayne's
not even
color.
white. I mean,
That's true,
older.
Dwayne.
Yeah, it's not even that. I mean,
and
it's
older, that's
literally
true, too.
just like an older sort of cartoon based sort of situation. You don't need to. If you're an 11-year-old listening to this at any point in time,
So Ben, if you're gonna talk to Steeler, the Whiplash Maniac, are you recommending this show
no,
to the Whiplash Maniac?
no. The Steeler would look at me like you're crazy, or he might pull the same 4 cool things out of it that we've pulled out of it. Do you know what I mean? I do respect the notion of
Funimation of it.
I do respect the notion of representation. I think that's cool. I think it's cool that it's set in Louisiana and in the swamps, and I do think it's cool that they touch on other lore than you're used to seeing. Would I recommend it to anybody? No. No. I don't.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a little bit of a. You kind of turned me, Ben. I'm gonna give it the old.
Wait, what about me? Are you going before me? You're gonna fucking skip me?
You just said you wanted to watch it. I gave you the success, right? What are your final thoughts? What are you giving it?
Yeah, it's really not as bad as everyone's. Check it out, guys. You might be interested in it. I feel like Dwayne could vibe with this show. It's whatever. It's like middle of the road. Just like you want to watch a anime cartoon. I mean, it's not groundbreaking. It's not Spielberg, whatever the hell. But like, it's
Could be Monster House. You know,
not Monster House. It's not Frankenweenie. But come on, I don't know. It's cute. It's fun. I like that they clean cemeteries. That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that a thing in Louisiana, Ben?
That is not a thing.
Is that a
Not a thing.
Yeah, clean the cemeteries.
Not a thing.
You know what?
I don't.
That made me
Anywhere
want to
is
be a
that a
thing.
thing?
I don't know. They sold me, I guess, on that alone. I thought the characters were pretty fun. I'd watch you.
So success.
So it's a success. Absolutely.
Oh no, my button stopped working.
Oh no.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Sweet.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, and I said I'm just gonna give it the old.
What? At the beginning of the show, you liked it.
Yeah, I know. I flipped because there's things I like about it, but then as we're talking about it, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I still don't get why that brother turned into a vampire. To to quote John Brennan, "Weird, dear." It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. But that's not to take away the positive
Why
elements
did
of it.
that guy trap himself at the end, but then he wasn't trapped at all? It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. But the thing there is it doesn't take away any of the positives. The whole notion of that is ultimately it boils down to recommendation. I could think of maybe 4 people I know in my life that I would be like, you should watch this, and they're all like 10-year-olds.
I was gonna say they're little kids, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
You should check this out, and that would be because they've already shown the notion of like, oh, I might be interested in something a little different outside of something. You know what I mean? Check this out. You might like that, and then hopefully that would initiate a spark for them.
My kids, when they were younger, got me into Gravity Falls. And I hold everything by Gravity Falls standard now when it comes to modern, any remotely spooky or, mystery type cartoon or animation. And it did not hit my Gravity Falls meter.
Gravity Falls
at
is
all.
like so good. Like,
Yes.
it's so underrated, that show. It's so, like, I don't know. It's so good.
We should. I've actually never watched it.
It's so
Oh,
good.
man. It's great.
You'll get a kick out of it, James.
Well, that's why we have a cartoon podcast.
Yes.
So I guess then, as we're sort of wrapping this up, James, what are we doing next week?
Well, to keep in line with the spooky season, I found a show that I've actually never watched, and it was on Amazon. So I was like, all right, let's do it. It's Tales from the Crypt Keeper, the animated.
You've never
show.
seen it?
Seriously?
I've only seen like the HBO Tales from the Crypt stuff, but not like
Wow.
never the animated show. That's why I was like, oh shit, you know what? Like I said, this is why we have a cartoon podcast. And
Yeah, there you go.
this is
You're
the
going to
place talk
shit
about it.
your pants. You're going to shit your pants. 110%. You're going to shit your pants.
That's a good thing.
A very good thing. Like, a very, very good thing. I used to watch Tales from the Crypt Keeper at the laundromat when I was working as a teenager. It it would come on, and there was like an Archie comic or an Archie TV show at around the same time that was also sort of like spooky based, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah.
right,
On Fox.
bammo. This is how a TV PG cartoon can have some scares and a whole lot
Hell
of
yeah.
laughs. Like, I think you're gonna get a kick out of it.
We shall find
Fuck
out.
yeah. Yeah, we'll find out.
To find out what we were missing this week.
Yeah. So yeah, that's next week, guys. I mean, hell yeah, we're finally wrapping up spooky season. What a way to do it with Tales from Crypt Keeper.
Go out with
So-
a bang.
Yeah, let's do it. Go out with a bang and not with Eli Roth.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, everyone, go watch Fall of the House Usher. That's the show to watch this week.
Fuck
All
yeah.
There you
right. All right, let's get the hell out of here. Peace out, guys.
Bye.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Well, don't do it, Cartman. Well, I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants. Want to kill all humans?
Work there, dude.
We'd like some money.
Yeah, money.
Money is cool.
We got whores in the city. We need backup now.
Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my god, the government is here. Run!
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini, all